Good morning, good morning, good morning, lovely people. Yes, the quarantine is almost over. We're in what phase? Which phase is this? 1, 2? Live studio audience, what phase is this? Do you know? You're not going nowhere. So, well, that live studio audience just won because we try to stay in compliance with the, with the social distancing. She's not going anywhere. So, with that being said, we'll just say phase 1 for the sake of me trying to know what I'm talking about on this morning. I'm not going anywhere either. People are out in these streets. I was out in the streets yesterday. I went to the drugstore. And that is what today's guest is about. Look, this is what we're going to talk about. Today's guest is Officer Malik. I had to call and get some input. So I'll catch you lovely people up on what exactly occurred, what I saw. So I went to the drugstore because I was feeling, the pollen, all this stuff going on. I'm like, oh, my allergies are acting up. I need to go ahead into this drugstore and get some medication. So before I went in, I seen that a car had got pulled over. So first I saw the lights flashing, and you know how it is now. We a little nervous, you know what I'm saying? We like, wait a minute, where's our phone? Let's get ready to record, all that good stuff. And I'm sitting there and I looked and I seen the lights flashing. And I said, okay. And then I happened to look at the rear of this vehicle and I saw where there were 30-day tags, but it was kind of, I think probably from the rain or whatever, washed out. So you couldn't really see. So I knew why they were being stopped. And mind you, I'm just a bystander in the car, windows up, just watching. So then I decide, let me roll my window down on the passenger side just a little bit to hear what's going on. So the young man, he gets out the car. They take him out the car. And when they take him out the car, they check him. And he's standing there. And I'm going to pause it right there. And I'm going to introduce you to today's guest, which is the lovely Officer Malik. That's coming on. Yeah. I'm so excited. Wait, it was. There you go.
Hear me, ma'am?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Good morning. I'm so glad that you could come through and explain the situation for me as far as what was going on. So I'm going to go into some questions that my listening audience actually has, and has asked so that they want to ask you and via me. So we're going to go through that. And we'll start with the traffic stop that I actually witnessed yesterday. I didn't know what was actually going on, but I wanted to watch it. And with watching this incident occur, I said, how is this going to turn out? Meaning the whole stop, the traffic stop with the police officer stop doing a standard traffic stop. I want to make sure I'm right, Officer Malik. I want to, because we got so much going on right now. And they pull on up and, okay, here is a standard traffic stop that I myself get to witness. And let's see how this is going to go. Now, I want to put this out here as far as, now we have a lot of the whole black and white thing. This situation, I wouldn't say is a black or white thing, but it was a white police officer with a black driver, okay? And the passenger was black as well. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, let's see it. And I wasn't the only car there. Now, some people had their cameras out already. What is going on right now where we feel like, first of all, we know that the police are supposed to protect us, but where people are automatically just turning on their camera. And from an officer's perspective, kind of tell me how you feel about that.
It don't bother me. Just get my good side is all I say when I see their cameras come out. And if all you're doing for me is if you're filming a traffic stop, in all honesty, I'm going to do my job with that camera on or with it off. Exactly the same way I would do it. Wouldn't make a difference to me. But if something does happen during that traffic stop, I can take your phone and use your film for evidence. We have to get a warrant to go inside to get it, but that's great for me. I'm glad they're filming it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. I had no idea.
Confiscate the phone, give you a receipt that I took it, and then, well, it's not going to be something like a normal traffic stop. It would have to be something that happened bad during the traffic stop. So it's quite possible for us to take that phone, get a warrant to go inside the phone to get that video out.
Now, what if something extra in that phone? Then you got another whole case going on.
Well, they're only allowed to go after the video with the warrant.
Okay.
So,
I was about to say, hold on, people be passing pictures and everything. I'm like, oh, that's
well,
different.
You won't be, nothing personal would get touched. It would just be that video. That's why it takes so long when they say that there are cases that involve phones. They take months upon months because you got to go through the right procedure in order to get the stuff out of the phone without touching anything else.
Oh, okay.
So I don't care if they film me or not. It doesn't bother me one bit.
Okay.
As long as you stay back and you stay out the way.
Now, I watched that whole thing play out where a young lady came. Now, let's talk about this next question, which is, if there's a passenger in the car, the driver gets pulled over in that particular case, it was the tags. I saw that you couldn't see. So I knew why they pulled them over. They were driving. I just happened to be sitting there. I saw the whole thing. Boom, 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 boom. And then they flashed the lights, and then I looked, and like I said, the license plate numbers or letters, you could see it was 38 tags. It was smeared. When he went to the car, he got him out. But before he got him out, he actually had both of them come out, and he patted down the driver. Then the passenger had to get out. Now, here's a question. Why is it necessary to ask the passenger anything if they're not the one that's driving? And why do you need to run the passenger?
Well, if he's getting them out the car, he has to pat him down, first of all, for officer safety.
Okay. Thanks for answering that.
And the second one is, in the state of Ohio, everybody has to carry an ID. You have to have an ID or a driver's license for us to be able to ID you. So I'm going to ID everybody at the traffic stop.
So
I have to be able to know who you are.
Okay, so if a passenger is in the car, I'm riding with somebody, I don't have an ID on me, I'm not the one that's driving. What's the problem?
If I'm getting everybody out the car, I'm going to identify everybody to see who they are. And if you don't have your ID, I'm just going to take your birth date or your social and run it that way. Okay.
Now, I have also seen some years ago where the passenger actually said, she was like, what do you need my information for? If you pulling over, you pulling over the driver, which I was the driver. I was the driver at the time. I was the driver. She's sitting over there, which is my cousin. She's sitting over there. He asked her name. I'm like, I just want to go home. She was like, you don't need my information for what? I'm not driving. And she went back to sleep. It was like.
And so, how did that turn out?
It turned out okay. It did. It turned out okay. It didn't bother anybody. It was just, we were younger and it wasn't a curfew at that time, but we was leaving the, I'll give a shout out to it, the Stratus. So you already.
Ooh, now you're dating yourself.
Yes.
Now you're dating yourself.
Yeah, so we leaving the Stratus and I'm sitting there like, why are we didn't even need to be pulled over, honestly. He said, he came up, he was like, you don't have your seatbelt on. I was like, I just took it. He just saw, I said, I just took it off. Where are you going? Home. She's over there. He was like, ma'am, what's your name? She was like, what do I have to do with anything? She was like, I'm not the driver. And went right back to sleep. And back then, the seats, I don't know, do the seats still? No, they don't recline like they used to. Remember, you used to sit there, pull the thing, and the whole thing would be back. So she was like, sleep. Anyway, I think that was it. It turned out okay, but I'm thinking, can you just tell him your name so we can go ahead and go
home?
Right. Yeah. And just go home. So yes, it was a long, long time ago. And we're 16 at the time. Oh, it was a long time ago. Yeah, we were 16 at the time. It's like, So everyone now has to say their name. Or is it just because the people feel like you just want to know the name? And I'm going to say you, Officer Lee. You just want to know the name to see if there's any warrants or anything, or to check and see. I
have to identify everybody in the car because you don't know what you're running into. You don't. Every traffic stop is an unknown. Everybody that's in that car is an unknown. You don't know who's in the car. You don't know what's in the car. And by Ohio law, I'm supposed to identify everybody. And under Ohio law, all citizens who live in Ohio, if the police ask you to identify yourselves, you're supposed to. At the age of 13, you're supposed to, well, is it 13 or 16? At 13, you're supposed to have an ID.
What? That's only in the military because they wasn't giving out IDs.
You're supposed to get a state ID at the age of 13.
Didn't know that. Okay.
And then after that, once you get your driver's license or a regular ID, once you become of age, when you sign that piece of paper, every time you get your plates or every time you renew your license, that's what that's for. Because you have to give that to the police officer if they ask you for it in the state of Ohio.
What you mean that? What the paper that you sign when you get your license?
Mm-hmm. That white piece of paper when you redo your plates or your registration and all of that. It's a whole list of things on there that people don't read that piece of paper.
Nope, just in there like number 25 and just up there and sign it to get out of there.
And they sign in. There are a lot of things that are on there that state why you're signing that piece of paper. It's not just for your insurance. To prove that you have insurance. There's more to it than that.
And that's what they say. That's what they say. They was like, sign here for proof of insurance. They just say just that bottom part, but it's up to the person that's signing it to read everything.
Everything. But even if that piece of paper doesn't have that on there, it's Ohio law.
Okay.
You have to, every person that lives in this state, if a police officer asks you for identification, you have to turn it over to them or be able to identify yourself if you don't have identification on you. But Ohio law, you're supposed to have a state ID.
Okay. I'm glad you cleared that up and clarified that for us lovely people. Now, oh man, that's something. So if you decide not to sign it, you can't not sign it, right? You have to sign that, don't you?
Well, in order to get your plates and everything else, yeah.
Right. So it's a catch-22.
That's all of us. That's all of us. I can't get mine either. That's everybody.
Okay. Now let's go back to the traffic stop. So we got that part out the way. So now the young man is out of the car. He gets checked. Then he gets into the back of the police car, back of the cruiser. The driver. The passenger is still standing out on the phone. I think that he probably was trying to call a ride or whatever. Didn't know how it was going to turn out. So he's on the phone. The driver is in the back of the car. At that time, what's actually going on?
Well, if he's in the back of the car, that means that officer had already ran him.
Yes.
Which means, which means 9 times out of 10, he probably didn't have a driver's license.
Okay.
Or if he didn't handcuff him, it's got to be something like that. If he would have been handcuffed, that means he would have had a warrant.
Okay.
He was putting him in the back because he's under arrest. At that point, putting him in the back, that means he was detaining him because he's got to get the rest of his information to write his ticket. Okay.
Now, when you say detained, was he under arrest at that time?
No, that's why we don't. If you're detained at that point, it means that I'm still conducting an investigation.
Okay.
And I need to keep you there.
Okay.
At that point, you're still free, but I need to keep you here.
Okay.
You're not under arrest. And we do explain that. I'm detaining you at the moment, and I tell you why I'm detaining you.
Okay, and that's usually a ticket?
It could be a ticket. It could be anything. If we're conducting an investigation, we're waiting for another officer to give us some more information. Let's just say something just happened and it was a female that had on glasses and a cream-colored shirt.
Would that be me?
And if you happen to match that description and you're in the area, I can hold you at that point. I can identify you and see if you're the person that we're looking for, but you're not under arrest. But I have to explain that to you.
Oh, so that's what happens when they be like, oh, you look like somebody else and these people don't look nothing like them.
Well, I can't tell you how many times I've gotten descriptions and you run across somebody that's got on the exact same thing that the person we looking for had.
Really?
It never fails. It never fails. Never fails.
And then you detain them, and then you look, and then we're the cream colored shirt and the glasses is hostile now. Like, what you talking about? I just came to the drugstore. What is going on?
Yep, and that's exactly how it happens.
And
that's exactly how it happens.
And then it gets out of hand.
Well, it all depends on how the person that you're detaining decides to handle it, and the officer.
You want to get jiggy?
Like, right. Like, lots of the audience was like, you want to get jiggy? Here's the thing, though. If I'm going into the drugstore, and let's say, for instance, I'm going to get some Gas X, okay? I got gas, I'm bloated. I'm going into the drugstore. I'm just trying to run in there and grab this and come out. And then you say, let me see your license and ID. I'm already bloated and irritated, okay? And I'm like, for what? Well, and then like you said, you would explain it and say that we got a description that blah, 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 blah.
And you match the description. May I have your ID, please?
And my response is, I just came from the house. What do you mean? And I'll give you my ID though. It won't be like, here you go, officer.
And it'll be, you're going to say what you say, and I'm going to grab that ID and do what I need to do.
And you're just going to be like, whatever.
And that's good. That part of it's going in one ear and out the other. I'm going to say, I understand, ma'am. I get it. I mean, I apologize, but this shouldn't take that long.
Okay.
But
then what if that ma'am says, now, you use that ID? Let me go get this Gas X real quick. You can't, she can't do that?
No, my God. No, ma'am. We got to stay right here. I can't let you go into the store.
Oh, man, that's all bad. That's all bad. Yeah. So then...
Listen, let it go if you got to let it go. I'm sorry.
You can't let it go. That's why you're going to get Gas X. That's why you're frustrated.
So normally that takes about a minute or two and then you on your way.
Okay. Normally. Oh, okay.
Normally.
And if somebody has like tickets or something like that, you'd be like, oh, you got this, ma'am. So now that's something totally different. Or unpaid tickets.
That's completely different. If I run you and there's something in your background that causes me to have to hold on to you, then that changes everything. But normally it's when that happens, we hold on to you for a second, we ID you, write it down, we find out that it's not you, we say thank you, you go your way, I go mine.
Okay. Now, back to the accident. So, after the the driver is detained, passenger is standing on the sidewalk. Other officers pull up. So he's a younger police officer, the one that's there at the time. And he appeared to be kind of, nice about it, just communicating, talking. And I could hear the dialogue because remember, I'm nosy and I rolled down my passenger side window. I didn't roll down the driver's side because I didn't want anybody to come up on me because I'm nervous like that. So, because the world is strange. The passenger side was down so I can hear the conversation and it was pretty cordial. It wasn't loud, none of that extra stuff. Then 2 other officers came, one from his same area and then one from Youngstown. I could just say YPD came. Then they came out, they were talking while he was handling his business. Then all of a sudden, the initial officer who was there, the younger guy, he started getting loud. He was like, I need you to do this. Move back. You're too close. He was not like that before they showed up. Now, I thought it was different, and this is just me observing. I said, well, who's that person? Because that wasn't the same person that was there 5 minutes ago or 10 minutes ago. I probably was there, 30 minutes, I think. That wasn't the same character that I saw at the beginning, which I think that, this is just me, him getting like that, and he wasn't like that, you would automatically get on defense. Even though you like, the odds are against you, you know what I'm saying? It's like, what do? Do I just swallow my pride? Do I, you got a crowd now. And boom, that happens. Do you see that often?
Yeah, but there's a reason for the change. There has to be a reason for that change.
The audience?
I'm going to go back to what you just said. When you said, move back, you're too close. Is that yes. That's what the officer said, correct?
That's what the officer said to the man that was about 80 years old while he was on the phone pacing. That's what he said. That was the passenger.
Okay, so he took it as the passenger was moving around and getting closer to what he was doing?
Yes, I guess I'm going to say, yes, he took it that way. However, the passenger was pacing back and forth.
Back and forth.
One hand on his hip So I know he was not happy about the situation. And
combination of two things.
And the phone in the right hand on his hip, in the left hand, and he was pacing back and forth in the same area on the sidewalk.
Yeah, without being there myself, because we get Monday morning quarterback all the time.
Okay.
But without being there myself, I would just chalk that up to the fact that the guy started moving around, walking back and forth.
Okay.
And the fact that it's a younger officer, and it probably made him a little bit nervous.
And he was checking the car.
Right.
At the time.
So if his head is down and he's searching the car and he looks up and he's seeing people moving around, yeah. Move back, stay back, don't come over this way.
Okay. All right. Then the young lady pulled up. So the young lady pulls up, and when she pulls up in the parking lot of the drugstore. The drugstore was popping. It was lit yesterday, okay? Yesterday afternoon. She pulls up, and when she pulls up, she jumps out the car. Now, remember, it was two. They look to be seasoned. The one officer I'm familiar with. Messing around with these people I'm familiar with. He came to the house a few times. But him and it was another officer, he looked older too. They were calm. They see the guy walking back and forth, but they were calm just standing there. So they didn't respond, and they were there where they could have kind of got him, the old man. But when the girl jumped out the car all the way down, they stopped her. They was like, stay back. And then she pulled up in the parking lot. They dropped her off. And come to find out, make a long story short, the vehicle ended up being hers. So once they checked everything, then they allowed her. She got her paperwork and everything and showed them that paper she signed. The registration, that paper that she signed. Showed them that, and they did allow her to drive off, but her friend, whoever that young lady was that brought her there, was behind her with her hazards on. So I guess until they kind of got that together, because the DMV just opened.
Yeah. But you still have up to, I think it's 90 days to get everything.
Okay, so they were able to see on her paper how long she had.
Once the DMV opened, that paperwork shows exactly when you got your registration done, or how old it is, how long it's been expired. Mm-hmm. Now, if her stuff, did they tow the car?
No, they didn't tow the car. They let her drive off with it.
Oh, that's good, because they could have towed the car.
Huh?
They could have towed the car.
Why?
Because the driver of the car didn't have a driver's license.
Oh.
They could have towed the car.
Oh, they could have. So I guess, okay, so he didn't tow the car.
Yeah, he was nice to her. He could have towed the car.
Okay, because the driver, once they ended up letting the driver out, he did have a ticket.
Yep.
He did have a ticket. He got into the backseat, and the old man with his cell phone, it was a flip phone too, so already he was, he probably was like, I'm using my minutes and everything, He got back in the front seat, and it ended up being a successful traffic stop. Is that safe to say? A successful traffic stop?
Well, yes, knock on wood. The problems that we see around the country, you don't see that here.
I know.
You don't see that here. We treat people how we want to be treated, and then we treat you how you end up earning to be treated.
Okay. So don't get smart. Just
cooperate. Just handle your business. Do it the right way. I mean, like you said, how you have bad days, and how that when you got to the store to get your gas X and was bloated and had a little bit of an attitude, you also don't know what that officer has dealt with before he got to you.
Now, see, this is what I'm going to say. Being a professional that I am, I have to leave whatever I'm dealing with at the door.
And you got to leave it. You got to leave. If you're dealing with point B, whatever happened to point A has got to be left behind.
And then you deal with that person. And so I understand the point that you're making, because even working in corrections, we saw each other several times.
Oh, yeah.
Working in, and some stories, right? You were like, what? Okay. But when you have that, and being an officer, and by me being on the other side of corrections, as far as like the inside, some people that don't know that I'm a nurse, being a nurse in corrections is different. And then we do meet up when you guys bring them in. Now, once dealing with what we deal with, I already know what y'all dealing with because I know what we getting. It's like, oh, so you got to ride with this individual, okay? Is there something in place for, like counseling for the officers?
Yeah, there is, but it also starts with each other. We also look after one another. So you can tell if something is going wrong and you step in, you help. I mean, we help one another. You have to. If you see somebody where we're human, if you see somebody where that argument is beginning to take on a personal feel to it, then you step in and you help. Okay, what is that?
What's your fraternal order of police or something? What is it?
Yeah, that's what it's called. Yeah, but that's what the organization is called.
That ain't a frat.
No, it's not a frat. We don't step. We don't step.
I almost spit this out. Y'all step.
No, we don't step. If we come to a party, we will not be in line going around. That might be fun to try, though. I think I'd have a hard time teaching most of my partners how to do that.
Crazy. Because there's a place where when you actually said you don't know what you guys have dealt with prior to dealing with the next situation, I have seen, and a lot of the listening audience, I appreciate the questions that had come because this is important. If you have an issue and you are upset and whatever your personal issue is out there or with the last person that you arrested, and then you bring it to the new place, and then you kind of have some of those, I'm just going to put it out there, your bad cops. So you have those bad cops out there, and it's not because they started off that way. It's, some of them say experience. Is there, like, when I say counseling, do you guys have like a mental health day, leave something where you guys are trained to say, okay.
We have actual, we can seek mental help. I mean, there's always stuff available to us.
Okay.
There's always stuff available to us. I mean, there's the ability to be able to take time off if you need to take time off. Stress leave. We call it stress leave. Yeah, so you guys have stress leave too. Okay. We have stress leave too.
Because you have a stressful job.
Yeah. So there are things available to us if we need them.
Now, with the public who pays, what is it, like levies and stuff, that, because you guys are for the public.
Yeah.
And it's taken a turn now where it's almost like the people are against the police when you are under the police are supposed to be a public service. Am I correct in saying, like, when we do pass the levies and all that stuff is for you from the community, correct?
Well, it's supposed to be.
So,
but that's politics. So that's a whole nother.
I know. It's like you say, that's a whole nother animal. Only reason I asked that question is because even like the pay, I know what the pay is, and you guys go out and risk your life every day, and to be disrespected is like, wait a minute. And it shows that I'm here because I want to be here versus this is a career that I chose because I chose to do it, versus where you have people who are, I'm trying to say this in the right way, or before they shut me off. I'd be like, where you have a job like they have right now, the frontliners. You guys been frontliners from the very beginning, once you actually said the oath, okay? Yep. Essential and the frontliner. And you chose that career and say, okay, this is what I'm going to do. But it's interesting to see how the respect has changed from a few bad apples. You know what I mean? Versus, just saying, okay, this person is here for me. It's almost like it's changed from the few bad apples where the community, like I said, is against the police officers when it's like, we are here to protect and serve. That's our oath. And you have one person, kind of like, what do they say? Like in the word, like, oh, you got a vest and now you're a superhero. You know, so like, okay, now you got a gun, now you're a superhero. And you have those people who have been bullied or picked on in school, and it's like, now I got the gun. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, the rabbit got the gun, now he going crazy. You know? Go ahead.
My response to all of that is always like, first of all, anybody who deals with people for a living knows how hard it is to deal with people, regardless of what job it is, from a police officer to the person taking your order at McDonald's. If you deal with people every day, all day, you're in the same boat. You understand what it's like to have to deal with people on a daily basis.
Especially with what's going on now with the whole McDonald's. People are really rude. Did you see that one?
The coffee, the lady who got the coffee pot thrown at her.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I did say a whole lot in that last little bit, you know, of asking you the question as far as the respect level. How do you feel with the way things has changed and turned?
Well, I've been around now. I'm in my 20th year.
I wasn't going to say that. I wasn't going to put that out there because it would have been dating you.
That's all right. I'm in my 20th year. And I've seen it turn from, there's always been somewhat of an adversarial relationship, but not bad. Mm-hmm. It's just that you're the police, we're not, and it goes from there. Or you think you can do this, you think you can do that. Too much TV. But what I've seen is that it has gotten worse as far as the perception of all of us on a whole, as how we do our job. But on the other hand, I've also seen people get out and help us. I've also seen situations where we had to ask people to step back who were literally trying to jump in and do things with us. I mean, you can't do that. We have to keep you safe. So there are moments, like I said, around here, for the most part, if you have a run-in with us, you done earned a run-in with us. We do our job. I can honestly say that. And if we do have any bad apples, flat out bad apples on the force, they don't do it with anybody else around because they know what we will do. We do police ourselves.
Okay.
We do police ourselves. And we don't play that simply because of the fact that we don't want to work in that type of environment. Don't make things worse. I mean, you never know what you're dealing with when you get out the car in the first place. Why add more to it?
So, you know, you brought up a valid point. So both, just as we feel unsafe now, you know, in 2020, when we get a basic traffic stop, we feel unsafe when the police is behind us. You guys feel unsafe too because you don't know what you're walking into.
You never know what you're walking into. When you're walking up on that car, from the moment you pull it over, you have no idea what's inside that car, what that person has done inside that car, what that person think they may be getting pulled over for.
It might be something totally different.
Yeah, it might be something completely different. And you got to get out that car and walk up on that car not knowing what the other person's intentions are. You don't know.
So, go ahead.
So until you actually start talking to that person, well, actually, until you complete the traffic stop, you honestly have no idea what you're dealing with until it's all said and done. You don't know if it's a completely safe situation until it's over with. Not in the middle of it, not when it starts, not after you ID them. You know a traffic stop is completely safe when the person is pulling away or you're taking them to jail, whatever the case may be, until it's completely done. You don't know.
Okay. Now, I've been pulled over several times. And one time I got pulled over 3 times within an hour. Listen, by 3 different jurisdictions. Okay. It was bananas. It was bananas.
Wow.
I got pulled over. All of mine ended up being good, honestly. And then the one in the rural area, I was on my way to work and I knew I was speeding. And that worked out good. However, he ended up letting me go when he saw my stethoscope.
Okay.
And he was like, I was like, I gotta get here. He was like, okay, go ahead. You know, he was like, And it was the freeway, but I didn't know that the freeway was like 55. I'm like, I was only doing like 65. But anyway, long story short, when I got pulled over 3 times within 30, it was probably like maybe an hour. I was, one jurisdiction pulled me over, one area. He said, did you know that your tail light was out? I'm driving. It's nighttime. So I couldn't do nothing but laugh. I was like, nope. I was like, and I pointed to the back. I was like, nope, I had no idea my tail light was out. So he told me, he was like, yeah, you got to get that fixed. I said, okay. And I was going to go down to a place to go get it, handled, fixed real quick. He told me, which was cool. He said, I would not recommend you to go to that one. He was like, they're getting ready to close. It's dark. You're a female. He said, just go home. And I said, okay. So as I'm driving home, I hop on the freeway. And they called and checked everything out, right? State Highway Patrol pulls me over. Did you know your tail light was out, right? And I'm trying to all I want to do is just go home. That's all I want to do. Did you know your tail light was out? I said, and I told them, blah, 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 blah. They told me, I'm just trying to go home. He said, okay, where do you live? So I told him, he said, okay, I went home. Then I get to my area. Your people pulled me over, right? This was so silly because they was outside my car, and on the radio, she said, it was the dispatcher, and he ran it, and she said the kind of car I had, the license plate. Yeah. And he said, how did you know? He was like, she's been pulled over 2 times before in the last hour. And he was like, what? I was like, I'm just trying to go home. That's it. So, YPD ended up following me so I wouldn't get pulled over again.
Yeah.
He was like, what's the chances of that? I was like, I know. So he followed me again. And then I was going to go to another spot. And he was like, just wait. You don't have to worry about your tail light. Wait until the morning and just go from there. Because he said the same thing. He said, I can escort you. He said, but just go head home and do it in the morning. So mine ended up turning out pretty good. My traffic stops were fine. Whereas now they have different, and I have to say, all of them were white.
Yeah.
So, where people are like, oh, what kind? You have a black officer or a white one. And so it's turning into almost like a race war almost, a race thing.
The only way to avoid that though, and here's where the problem comes in. How do you end up with all white officers? We don't apply for the job. So what do you think's going to happen? Somebody got to take it. So, and I said, anytime it's time for us to do our civil service exam, I get on my Facebook page. I tell everybody at the barbershop, the test is coming up. We complain about the fact that how come we only see white officers? Because we don't apply for the job.
Some of us apply for the job, but remember, it was a time where we couldn't pass the drug test. Yeah.
So what you need to do what you need to do to pass the drug test. That's on us. Mm-hmm. I mean, it truly is. When they say it takes a village to raise a child, well, whenever the village had a problem and had to defend itself, it didn't run to the next village to have that village defend itself. They defended itself. If we applied for the job, if we went through the process and more of us became police officers, there would be more of us out there, so we would see it would be more of a comfortable situation to deal with. A familiar face normally helps. Mm-hmm. Not somebody that you know, but just a familiar face. Normally. Mm-hmm. Then at that point, you got to throw the black and white part out of it. Then it just becomes a personality issue. In most cases, when you're dealing with white cops, they didn't go to school with us. They didn't grow up with us in most cases. They come from communities where there aren't a lot of black people. Mm-hmm. So it's not that they're racist or prejudiced in most cases. The thing is, just don't know. They don't speak the same language we speak. They don't know our culture. I'll tell you a quick story. When I was in year number 3, I believe, 3 or 4, we were at a house where one of my partners was dealing with a woman inside of her own house. Now, you and I both know a black woman in her house, married, not married. If she married, got a husband, got kids, she still run the house. Right?
Right, true, yeah.
Okay. So we in the house, she's standing there, and she tells the officer that's in the house, I want to get my house coat and my house shoes. And he was like, no, you're fine, just stand there. Now keep in mind, she got 3-4 grown sons standing there. This conversation goes back and forth, and it's getting a little bit heated between the two of them. And I'm looking at the sons. And I'm like, oh, okay, we about to have a fight. We in their house. We don't know where nothing is.
Right.
So finally, I look at the lady. I'm like, ma'am, go ahead and go get what you're going to get. And my partner who was talking to her looks at me and gives me the dirty eye. He's mad at me. And I look at him like, just 1 second. And so she comes back with her house coat and her house shoes on. And he says, well, why didn't you say you wanted your robe and your slippers? And I looked at him. I was like, she did. We don't call them robes and slippers. We call them house coats and house shoes. He didn't know that.
Okay.
He didn't know that. So if I hadn't have been there, that would have turned into a huge argument. She wasn't comfortable standing there in her nightgown in front of strangers. She shouldn't have been. And all she wanted was her house coat and her house shoes. He didn't know what that was. How would he know?
Now, you're about right. Yes, robe and slippers, house coat, and house shoes. And he just said, no, you're all right with what you have. Now, had her sons went and got it, it would have been a whole different story.
No, because at that point, we don't let nobody out of the room because we don't know what you're going to get or what you're going to do.
But you let the woman out of the room.
We let her go, but at the same time, when you're watching when she's coming back, it's still, but at that point, I knew what she wanted.
Uh-huh.
So, and you know the vibe of the room, go get your house coat. But they don't know what that is. Now, that same police officer, by year number 4, year number 5, is listening to our music and probably got a black girlfriend.
You done changed him, like, we converted him. Now he understand the dialogue. He like, oh, okay, that's what that means.
But when they first come, they don't know none of that. They actually have to be taught. Or they'll get back in the car and they'll ask you, what does this mean? What does that mean? Because they want to be able to communicate. Mm-hmm. They want to be able to help. But if they don't come from here, how are they supposed to know that?
Now, that is true. Because I remember, and it's different from what you're dealing with because you're going inside the house and a lot more dangerous. Somewhat. Because when you work in triage in the hospital, you don't know who you got coming through there.
Yeah, you don't know what you got coming in.
At all. We were at, like, you know, when you call the names. And one of my girls, love her to pieces, hilarious. Y'all know my name, Melanie. Hers is, I can say her name, Radina, right?
Okay.
Radina Renee, to be honest. So I'll never forget where this one lady was coming with her copay. And the doctor told her, get a copay to nobody else but Radina. Right? This old lady, listen, she was so adamant. She's like, no, Dr. So-and-so told me to give it to you. I won't say his name, you know. And I was like, to me? D, I love her, the piece, white girl. And I was like, to me? And then she was like, yeah, he told me to make sure I didn't give anybody my copay, just to you. And she said my name. And I said, and I walked her up to Radina, the white girl, Radina Renee. I said, this is Radina. I'm Melanie. She was like, her whole face, it went red, then white. And I'm sitting there like, oh, she get ready to pass out. It was the funniest thing ever. But that's what happens when we're there and we have to call somebody's name and they don't know how to pronounce it. They were like, Mel, how you pronounce this? I said, I don't know. Some of them I don't know. I was like, I don't know. We could do it phonically, or let's see, what's the last name? Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so. We'll just go there. Because what they wanted to do over at this particular hospital, they wanted to call you by your first name. And the reason it was, and back then, remember the phone books? Boy, I'm dating myself. Remember the phone books? They didn't go by the last name because people were different. And then they could look you up. So, because it went by last name. So the first name, they were a lot safer. You just be like, okay, boom, and you didn't know the individual. You just say the name. I was like, I don't know. But these names now, I don't know. So yes, I do experience, and a lot of people experience in all professions, experience that issue of, what does that mean?
Yep.
What did they say?
Yep.
Huh? And then you have to translate like, this is this, and that wasn't offensive. This is what they meant. You know what I mean? And even
it's the same thing when it's reversed. It's the exact same thing when it's reversed.
Is it? Because I know some stuff.
Maybe I had to have some stuff translated to me.
Did you?
Oh yeah. I've had to have some things translated. Like, what is that? Oh, okay, I get it now. But I've had to do the same thing.
Okay.
So, but in the end, if we really truly wanted to become a more comfortable situation, the two things we can do: educate yourself on what we can do as far as police and why we do it. Well, I'm gonna say three things. Don't believe everything that you see and hear on TV and take it as if this is exactly how it truly works because it's TV.
Okay.
And three, apply for the job and do the job yourself. It's our community. There should be more of us working.
Okay.
And the only way that happens is if we take the test.
Okay, so in order to correct the issue, we have to apply.
Yeah, in order to correct the issue, you have to educate. You have to more education truly on how things actually work. People always say they know their rights, but in all honesty, no, they don't.
Clearly.
No, they don't.
And that's it. I know my rights. Now, speaking of that, my freedom of speech, I get to say what I want to say and all that other stuff. And then you have now where, let's be real, now like they're not boycotting, but picketing. There we go. Protesting about the opening the world again. You have white people up there with guns, even though you have the right to carry. Why is it so different with black people? Now it's a threat, but white people up there marching around and protesting, and all is well. Everybody get to go home safely, and there's no threat. That's their right to protest. And then if we protest, hold on, there's an issue, i.e., Black Panthers years ago.
Yep.
It's I'm threatened.
We still have Black Panthers.
Yeah, we do. But I'm thinking of back then. Remember, it was powerful. Yeah. Like, boom, this is it, and everybody was together. And then now it's a threat, like Ahmaud. You have a white person jogging. Okay, he's just jogging. A black person jogging. Let's address the elephant in the room. A black person jogging. Oh, that's a suspect. What is he running from? What's going on? Even though we do realize, and I realize that it was always there, and then we had President Barack Obama, and then now we have President Trump. I don't know if the people feel as though they could just do what they want to do since he's the president. I don't understand.
I don't think anybody does, but it's to the point that the reason why it's more prevalent is because of the technology that we have. The things that we see and deal with have always existed. You just see it now. Because
of the camera, they're getting your good side.
Because of the cameras. So you see it now. It's not like it wasn't happening before. You just didn't see it. And if you wanted to know what was going on in St. Louis, you actually had to go to St. Louis to find out.
In their
now
local
you hit
paper.
a button and St. Louis comes to you.
Now that's true.
I bet you right now you probably got 2-3 different devices sitting there looking at all types of social media telling you what's going on right now.
I do. Which brings us to our next topic. When someone is missing, that 18-year-old girl, Bell was her last name, that went missing, and I'll catch you up if you aren't familiar. She was in Ohio. Highland County, Ohio. And she went tanning. She told her parents she was going tanning. You remember that story recently? She was going tanning and they found her car in the parking lot with her purse, the keys in the ignition, and her cell phone.
Wow.
And now they found her. Yeah, they found her. As of today, I believe, the 23rd. So I'm happy about that. I will put some sound effects up there for you. But But here's my question to you. She was found and she left. But now all that money is spent on searching for her and she left. What charges can be brought against her for faking her own disappearance? Do you know?
That would be a question for our prosecutor, not for me.
Okay. But would that be something that
my level?
But would that be something that you guys would actually say, okay, this goes, like you said, to above your level?
Depending on what her circumstances were for going away. Depending on her mental state. There's a lot of stuff. I could sit here and what if?
Yeah, if she has mental issues. They found a guy, and I think that's what did it. They seen a guy in some place on surveillance camera, and they said we need to question him. They had him as a suspect, just to say, okay, in a disappearance. And then once they had that going, they end up doing, they end up finding her. She ended up coming clean. But all the monies that's spent on looking for her.
Let's just say they decided to charge her with something.
Okay.
And if they made a part of her sentence restitution, she would be responsible for whatever services were provided in order to find her. Now, the judge would do that.
Oh, okay. Because I do know that they were saying that in the article that I read, and let's be clear, I'm media, but sometimes we'll put things out there and it'd be like not all the way. The facts aren't there. We kind of get just bits and pieces, and you get bits and pieces to make a good story. But they were saying how she just said she was tired. She was and she wanted out. That's not the way to go out. And the reason I wanted to bring that up is because
I'm about to go and park my car up in the parking lot at that drugstore you was at there.
You're going to see a whole lot. The action is there. The action is there. But her doing that, what about the people that are truly missing? So people will kind of like water down certain things. And you know what I mean? They might say, okay, there's somebody else crying wolf.
We just keep looking. You don't let one case affect the next when it comes to things like that. You just keep going. I've done reports where the mom and the girlfriend have come down and they can't find the boyfriend and the woman's son. He's been missing for a day and a half. You do the report and you start tracking it down, and then sometimes they're actually missing. Other times he done went and got a hotel room with another girl.
What?
So, and the guy ended up calling down to the station like, I'm not missing. You need to call your mom. I'm not worried about the girlfriend. You need to call your mother.
Okay, and let her know because your mother is looking for you.
Let her know because your mom down here at the police station filing a missing report for you. So, I mean, you treat each case, no matter what, as if they really are gone. Because if you don't, if you start treating it like, well, this one isn't, you can't do that. You cannot do that. You have to take each one and work your way into it until you know for sure what happened to that person.
Okay. Now, is there certain protocol for missing persons who is under the age of 18 versus someone over the age of 18?
Well, the Amber Alerts, depending on the circumstances that you have. If you know that they were taken by a family member, usually it's the other parent.
Okay.
Usually it's the parent who doesn't have custody. I mean, Amber Alerts come in for children. And then from there, like anybody else, you automatically just put it into the system and it goes nationwide. Okay. That was just a question that I had. Now, back to that incident that I witnessed yesterday. Tell me this. When I saw, like I said, it was one police officer pulled the guy over in another county, though. So like that line. So okay, you have, let's say, the Liberty, and then you have this Liberty and Youngstown. Let's just say, for instance, Liberty and Youngstown. Trumbull and Mahoney. So you have Trumbull who pulled them over because they crossed over to Youngstown. So they pulled them over in Youngstown. That's where they put the light. That particular traffic light separates it.
So they didn't stop at, matter of fact, the lights one, they didn't even pull them over before the light. They pulled them over after the light. And that would be Mahoning. So Mahoning ended up coming, but they stayed back. Whose arrest is it? Like, how does that go?
It's Liberty's, because they initiated it. It actually started in Liberty Township.
Okay.
So it's Liberty's.
It's
where it started at.
But it really didn't start in Liberty, though.
No, your part of it that you saw started in Liberty. When they ran that plate, when they initially ran the plate, that started in Trumbull County. The initial offense took place in Trumbull County, took place in Liberty.
Oh, so when they run the plate, before they pull them over, when they started.
Whatever the initial offense was of running that plate, that took place in Liberty.
Okay.
And they just happened to cross over by the time that the actual traffic stop got initiated. But the offense that took place that created the traffic stop happened in Liberty.
Okay. So it happened in Liberty, and so it just carries on. So it just
carried over onto our side of the fence.
Oh, I thought maybe if we, you know what I'm saying, you hurry up and pass the light.
No,
they got stopped going back home.
Yeah, we ain't playing freeze tag.
But like, y'all sound now, but I see you.
Yeah, there is no home base. That's like getting pulled over by a Youngstown cop in Youngstown, and you pull in your driveway and think because you in your driveway you safe or something. No.
Yeah, you do think that. I'm in the pull the garage down. What happened?
It doesn't work that way. So no, if it was initiated in another jurisdiction, it's theirs.
Okay. I'm glad
we're just support. We're just help if they need help.
Okay, so that's why you pull up because I saw okay. Or do you guys hear the same thing, like over the radio?
Well,
or
no,
they're
hear the
different?
Same thing. What'll happen is if you see it, if you just happen to be driving down the street, if you see it, you see they're by themselves, you'll back them up until either they need your help or one of their own cars show up.
And that's what happened. That's how it ended up being all them other people. Okay, because I thought maybe they called.
Their dispatch will contact ours.
Okay.
And let us know that there's a traffic stop, that Liberty is asking for assistance, and they'll give us where they're at, and we'll go to them. But most of the time, if you just happen to be in the area and you see them cross the line and make a traffic stop, you go and check on them.
Okay.
So it's not about the person that, if you see another car pull up, it's not about the person that they have pulled over 9 times out of 10. You're just going to make sure that they're okay.
Okay.
Because 9 times out of 10, that person is by himself.
Yes.
So, yeah, I tell people all the time when they ask why are there so many of you, we say it's not because of you, it's because of us. Okay. We make sure that we're safe. That one officer that initiated the stop is who you're going to deal with because he's the one who stopped you. We were just here to make sure he's okay.
Oh, so me, the rubberneck, driving and see 5 or 6 police cars, what? Oh, it's about to get nutty up in there.
Or the circumstances require that we have that many.
Okay.
Each traffic stop is different.
So it pretty much boils down to, like you were saying, when you see a lot of those police cars, those are just that's the protection of you guys to make sure that you're okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And safe. Oh, it don't mean I'm like some big time criminal up in there.
No,
because that's usually what it is.
Yeah, that does happen now. Each traffic stop is different. But in most cases, like you said, the normal traffic stop, even though we train that there's no such thing as a normal traffic stop, but I'm just going to say a traffic stop where somebody ran a red light and that officer pulls them over and puts himself out, you're going to get another car or another 2 cars there simply because we're going to make sure that he's okay or she.
Okay.
We're going to make sure that they're all right.
Okay. Yeah, you better be politically correct with the she.
Yeah.
You know they changing it from a mailman to a male person now.
Our women work just as hard as our men do.
Harder. Because they got to prove themselves. They have to approve themselves. And that's so sad. We just have to prove ourselves all the time. So sad. But that's all right. Go ahead. Shout out to Girl Power. Put the cape on. We doing it. All right. I want to put this out here. Quavo. real quick, this on the hot topics. Quavo, congratulations to you. Quavo is one of the members of the Amigos, the rap group. He actually, 29 years old, he got his high school diploma. He graduated. He didn't get his GED. He graduated. Now, if you don't know too much about the hip-hop industry, the rap industry, I'll let you know who Quavo is. I'll let you know his background. He was born Quavis. I want to say it right. Yeah, Quavis Kiate. I forget the child's last name, but it's a regular last name. Look, that's one of those names that you sit there and call him out. You be like, forgot. But he ended up getting his high school diploma in graduating class of 2020. So shout out to you at 29 years old. He quit school a few months before he graduated to pursue his rap career. He said that with academics, it didn't work. And he was like a star football player, the whole nine. And he went on and dropped out of school to pursue his rap career. Now, this is what I have to say, and it sounds good. I don't want a lot of people to think that it's okay to just go ahead and just quit school and pursue your rap career, because that's like a 1 in a million. Because Will Smith, he didn't want to go to college, but he did graduate high school. Finish high school, young people. Finish high school. Because if he's 29, look how long it took him. My thoughts personally, I'm glad he got his he graduated, but look how long it took him. So he might as well finish off that senior year and then focused on his career. But they are a successful rap group, and it's 3 of them got to be split 3 ways. I learned that from the New Edition story.
Well, it's more than 3 ways.
Oh yeah, because you got the manager.
Well, you got the manager, you got the lawyers, you've got group tax, you've got individual tax.
See,
it's more than 3 ways.
Look, I just went from that way. Look, and even with the TLC story, because you got the New Edition. How about the New Edition was making all that money and they were popular? Well, they were making all that money, but they weren't getting any because of what you actually said. And they were still living in the projects, but they was popular and they were on the radio.
What was it? They were getting like half a cent an album.
Yes, that was TLC, wasn't it?
Yeah, both of them.
Both of them. Crazy.
So yeah, it's the record industry is a mess.
It really is.
What's the word that they use a lot? Recoupment.
Oh yeah.
The record company gives you all of this money up front to do what you need to do.
Your outfits to perform. Back. Yep. And then you got to pay it back.
It all back.
That's probably, I can't remember that one guy who had to rent it. That's probably why they be renting jewelry. They'd be like, oh, here you go. And then.
Yeah. Yep.
So, but you know what? If they were real, and I'm going to say real as far as keeping it real, they would let people know what it is. And it's almost like, so what are you there for? Are you there for the fame? To be notarized? That's why I said notoriety isn't important if you're already known. Is it for the notoriety or is it to make money? What's most important? And you have people that, as my mom would say, dangle the carrot because they think that everybody is still on. As long as I'm known, as long as I'm popular. But it's different when you're already popular. Like, oh, okay. Hey, I'm on a radio station. That's what I want. No, you got to pay me, homie. But some people feel as though that they would rather be known.
Yep.
Because maybe they weren't known in high school. And it's like I'm finally somebody and not realizing, like, come on. People still will like you regardless if you were yourself. Those people just weren't for you.
Yeah, true.
The same thing like I say about some of those police officers, and you could tell the ones that, oh, okay, nobody paid you any attention. Now you like, oh, I got a gun. Now you just big stuff. Please. And that's why you hear a lot where they be like, put the gun down. Put the gun, you know what I mean? Come on, don't be using that as, okay. And to me, that's a bullying tactic. So if you got bullied in high school or bullied in school, and then now you want to sit there and tote a gun and keep wanting to flex this gun, you're trying to bully other people to try to feel superior. Not cool. All right, let's move on to, let me say this, and I'm trying to steer clear of the whole coronavirus, but we'll touch bases on that. Let's talk about Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield. They talk about doing a rematch.
I'd rather see Tyson fight somebody else than Evander.
I went to see Tyson fight some years ago. Probably, I don't even know how long it was. It was like a sparring match. So boring.
I don't want to see him fight Evander. I'd rather see him fight somebody else.
Like who?
We've seen that. And then I wouldn't want it to be one of the top heavyweights, but somebody in the middle just to see. Because it's Tyson. I don't care how old he is. It's still Tyson. Just to see exactly where he really is.
I don't think he got it no more. It's supposed to be for charity. Let me put that out there. It's supposed to be for charity.
Well, in a way, I believe that if they do this and the first fight comes off pretty good, I think Tyson will try to make a comeback. Because they're going to look at how George Foreman did it. When George Foreman made his comeback and became... Actually, George Foreman held the belt when he came back. He beat Michael Moore and became the heavyweight champ when he came back.
You think that's what it's about? Because I was like, what, with the grill? Came back with the grill? What?
Until you show me different, Tyson is still Tyson.
You still have... You still got the old image of Tyson in your mind?
No, they've showed him working out.
Okay.
They've shown Mike working out, and it's... Man. So I would like to see what he can... I'd like to see it.
You like to see it? Okay.
I'd like to see it.
That last one, I'm telling you. It was $80 tickets. He came up there. I'm like, yeah, I'm about to see Mike Tyson. And it was a sparring match, and it was phony. It was so phony. I was like, y'all, if y'all know me, let me go to the concession stand and see what they got over there. That was like, gone. All right. Congratulations to Kandi Burruss. And she's the writer of Bills, with Destiny's Child's hit, TLC's No Scrubs, her and Tiny. Did it? She won The Masked Singer. Do you watch The Masked Singer?
I know what it is. I've only seen it maybe once or twice.
Well, she was the night angel. I'm a big fan of The Masked Singer. I'll be like trying to guess. Little Bow Wow was the frog. I guess that. And I guess that she was the night angel. They do little clues and they have on these masks. So you have to guess, the panel has to guess who it could possibly be. And people like me.
Then when they get eliminated, they take the mask
off. And then you see exactly who it is. Now, Kandi, I wanted to say this about that. That's why I brought her up. Say this about The Masked Singer. I had no idea. She was crying up underneath. She said her solo album didn't go well. And then she thought she couldn't sing anymore because a lot of people had negative comments regarding her singing. And she said her coming back on the show actually built up her confidence to say, hey, I got it, because she thought that she couldn't sing anymore. And that's why she started writing for people. And when she won, she said that was the best thing that could have ever happened to her. And I thought, wow, she didn't think she could sing anymore. Like, even it doesn't matter how much money you have, people still have issues with being liked. And people don't understand that. Even when you deal with, you're like, oh, okay, what is that clicking sound? Is that you?
That's me. That's me.
What you clicking on? A Rubik's Cube? Oh, a clip. Come on, Officer Malik. I know you ain't in the office. You ain't no office cop. I know you ain't in the office throwing paper clips now.
I'm at home right now. This is with the wipes from some of her paperwork.
Oh, okay. Hey, you remember that on I Won't Get You Sucker? Remember he lost his eye? He was like, what? They thinking he did this. He was like, oh, yeah, messing around the office, popping paper clips. Oh, that was crazy. Patrick Ewing tested positive for coronavirus. And I hope he's well. For those of you, I know y'all know Patrick Ewing. I ain't got to go into all of that. If you don't, go ahead and look him up. But yeah, he tested positive for coronavirus. There's a lot of people that tested positive for coronavirus. How do you feel about the world opening up right now? You got a bald head, so you ain't got to worry about going to the barbershop.
No, I cut my own.
You cut your own? Did you
cut my own?
Now, did you cut your own when you were younger?
No, I went to the barbershop. I still have a full head of hair if I grow it. If I did, I'd be going right to Chuck to cut my hair. Okay, shout out to Chuck. Yep. Now tell me. So, I think it's too fast. I think we're doing it for economic reasons. It's not about the people, but we're also losing a lot of business right now too. The last time we went through this, we ended up in the Great Depression after the fact. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of the businesses didn't recover from when it was the Spanish flu in the early 1900s. So I think they're trying to keep us from going through the exact same thing again. But how many people are we going to lose in the process by doing it? So we'll see. honestly, I still think they really don't know how it actually works, because they said now metal doesn't hold it in the beginning. It would last on metal for 3 days.
Right.
Now they don't think it does. I still don't think they know exactly what they're dealing with.
I think that you are right. Because I tell you, my thoughts, and it's still going to be the same. I believed off top it was airborne. But if you tell everybody that it's airborne, it would have been like total chaos. Total chaos. And I believed it was airborne, and I think that they knew it was airborne. That's why they like, go in the house. Don't go out unless you have to go. Because first they were saying it was contact, like you said, and even on objects, it was up to 3 days. I don't care what nobody say. That one meeting, 53 people, this is when I decided it was airborne in my mind. Y'all ain't got to listen to me, but this is just my opinion. 53 people go into a meeting. All 53 tested positive. Now, here's my thing. All 53 didn't use the same ink pen to sign in.
No.
I was like, close quarters, here you go. That's why I have an issue with the salons. I'm not going there. Then they have like shower curtains at the nail tech place. I want to say in Atlanta, the nail tech's place. They had shower curtains, but the shower curtains weren't all the way divided. It was, you had space. They had the bar there. No, it's still in close quarters, just like when you used to go beforehand, before the coronavirus came out. You could smell all those fumes. You can smell all those fumes. So what would be the difference?
I just honestly believe that, the stuff that they actually do know about it, everything, of course, the government doesn't tell you everything. And in all honesty, we don't need to know everything. Because what type of society would it be if it's just all panic and fear?
Mm-hmm.
One. So I just believe that they don't know everything. And if you really want to believe somebody, believe yourself. Keep yourself safe. If you think you need to stay home, stay home. Your mask, that's a personal choice as well. Do what you need to do to take care of you and your family.
Mm-hmm.
Not the governor, not the president, not the Senate. When it comes down to it, only people who live in your household are the people who live in your household. Talk it over with each other and keep each other safe. To me, that's the best thing you can do, no matter what.
Now, you have those who believe that first President Trump didn't believe it was real. Remember, he thought it was some type of ploy from the Democrats. And then when people start coughing, he was like... So
he still refuses to wear a mask.
Yeah, and he don't. He doesn't. And it's like he'll be tested every day, and everybody that comes in, they have to be tested. And I'm like, all right. He was saying before, his question was, I don't even think it was a question. I think, it was a question. And they kind of gave him the blues on that when he was saying bleach. Can't we just give people IVs?
Yeah, and drink bleach. What is wrong with you?
Yes. And it seems like so many people are so confused that you are forgetting the basics. Do not ingest. There's a big sticker, poison control. Like, just because somebody say, well, you want people to drink bleach and get an IV with some Clorox in it and all this other stuff. And you are always brought up not to ingest that. Like, what's happening to the common sense? Like, what's going on? What's your thoughts on that?
You ever hear the phrase common sense is not common?
It used to be. I don't know what's happening now. It was common in our community and in other communities. And it's like, oh, I'll try this. Why?
That's because our parents would crack you upside the back of your head if you went up underneath the sink in the kitchen. You weren't allowed to go up underneath the sink in the kitchen when we were growing up.
And you know what? I guess you're probably right. You knew. How did you know? Was that taught? I don't even remember. You just kind of knew, like, you don't. You just don't.
That's where everything was. That's where all of that stuff was.
And listen, and now they got it where you have to put things up high in a different cabinet and lock it to prevent children from having, from children getting a hold to it when ours was right up under the sink at our level.
That's because ours was prevented by a belt or a hand coming across the back of your head. You didn't need a lock.
Which was like, don't do it.
You didn't need a lock.
You're like,
you just knew because you ended up on the kitchen floor.
Like, I'm going to kill you before you kill yourself.
Right. Exactly.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. I want to thank you for coming on the show. Is there anything else that you want to put out there for the listening audience?
As far as police stuff goes, if you have any questions, just when you come across one of us, just ask us. We're normal human beings like everybody else. Stop and talk to us. Trust me when I tell you, 9 times out of 10, unless you come across somebody, you never know. You never know who's got a bad attitude. Unless you come across somebody that's having a bad day or a bad attitude, we are no different than you are. Like anybody else who's having a bad day or a bad attitude. Don't worry about it. Just if you got a question, just talk. We're normal human beings like everybody else.
But don't ask the question during stop.
Debates don't take place during traffic stop. Not at all. Just do what you got to do and go on about your business.
You already know. Be like, I got a question. Now tell me that. Listen here. I'm here to write you a ticket. Look, I ain't got time to be answering no questions. So now, if we see you out in uniform, like let's say at a game or something like that, and you just be like, can I ask you a question to see? Just like you said, like a normal person. If you're available to ask a question and you answer it.
Uniform or no uniform, still a normal person. I mean, unless I'm doing something, if I'm actually carrying out my duties, I've never had a problem with stopping and talking to people. That's not an issue at all.
Okay.
I mean, it's to me, it's a part of the job.
Okay. If you're out on your personal time.
Yep.
Then you'll answer.
If I'm in the middle of something, if I got somebody on the ground, I'm trying to handcuff them, that would not be the time to ask come in and say, I want to talk to you about something. People have done that. That's not the time. Oh yeah.
That's when you got to be like, get back.
Yeah, really. People have done that. But it's not hard to approach us. Just walk up and say, how you doing, like you would anybody else.
Okay, because
so if somebody's got a question for me, I'm not hard to find. I'm not hard to approach.
I saw where, sometimes you guys will kind of take, adopt a family or take them Christmas shopping or, students.
Yeah.
And the reason that you do that is for?
Well, it's called Shop with a Cop. And normally we do it through the FOP or like the Sheriff's Department does it as well. And it's for community service to actually just walk around with kids from the community and everything else, provide a service, but at the same time, you get to interact with the community in a different way. They get to see you as a person. They get to see your personality. They just talk to you.
More like relationship building.
Yeah.
Now, did that come into play after it's such a negative tonation now, or is it something that's been going on for years?
No, it's been something that's been going on for years. It wasn't created because of any of this. It was created because a bunch of cops got together and decided they wanted to do something with the kids in the community.
Okay, good. Because I know you saw some of those videos where when the police pull up, the little people running scared to death. That is sad.
Well, you know how that happens, don't you? It's real. I had my first year on the job. When I got by myself, I was riding around. I won't say which street, but I was on the south side. And little 2-3-year-old little kid was playing in the yard. And I drove by and the little kid stood up and waved high. Hey, police. I waved back. The mom came outside and whooped them. Didn't I tell you not to talk to them? And whooped the child. So what do you think that kid's face looked like the next time I seen him when I went down the street?
Did you
wave?
Got
my tail to her. I don't like you no more.
That is so sad.
Yeah, people do. Yeah, and that's how it starts.
Now, him getting a whooping for talking. Now, when you followed up talking to the police instead of talking to strangers.
Yeah.
Isn't that an offense now? Or no?
Whooping them?
For no reason.
A child getting a whooping?
Look, we know our culture. You might have to translate, but come on to translate for...
No, it is not against the law to whoop your child. It's against the law to abuse your child. There's a difference. There's nothing saying that you cannot whoop your child. Now, I can't come to the house and your child got a bloody nose and a couple missing teeth That's a whole different story. But you not cleaning your room and you got your tail toe up, you might get your tail toe up again while I'm there. Don't call me because your mom did what she was supposed to do.
Okay.
No, there's a difference between child abuse and you actually getting disciplined by your parent. There's a huge difference.
Okay.
Yeah, people believe that there's a law saying that you can't whoop your child, that you can't discipline
Yeah, they
your child.
think that. The child thinks that.
Well, yeah, no, sorry. My son tried that once when he was little. He found out the hard way.
Did they
call
call
police? Call them if you want to.
They're like, what? What'd you say? Call them if you... I know that's right.
Call them if you want to.
All right, Officer Malik, I truly appreciate you coming on. I was getting ready to end it, but I had some other questions, and I had to get it on out there. And I had you end it with something that you wanted to say and put out there for the community. Do you have anything else?
Everybody just stay safe. Mel, thank you for having me on the show, and appreciate y'all out there. Keep doing what you do.
Hey, cover up. Wash your hands if you don't want to cover your mouth, okay? And don't be sneezing and coughing. I'm putting that out there in folks' faces. Like, you do that, it's different now. It's so different.
Why would you do that anyway?
Some people do that. Some people truly, truly do it. And it's like, why? And you don't even realize, I didn't realize until now how many people didn't wash their hands. I thought like everybody did it.
Everybody washed their hands. No, they don't. They don't.
I'm shocked. I'm appalled. And it's like, oh.
Why do you think we wear them gloves when we go to touch people?
Now, here's my thing. I didn't think y'all wore the gloves for that. I thought it was for your protection, definitely, because you don't know what folks got on their pants and stuff.
Yeah, a lot of people think those are fight gloves. No, we don't. You touching people who may not have changed clothes in 2-3 weeks.
Not trying to take nothing home. The objective is to go home safe, huh?
No. Now you got me cussing.
Live studio audience, did you want to say something?
Nope, I think you guys handled it all.
Oh,
Great.
All right, lovely people. You know what it is. Find you, embrace you. Most importantly, always love you. And I hope that you got some clarity on some things. I had to share this, the story that I actually witnessed with all of the murders from the police officers. And here I go again. What about the Ahmaud, the guy that videoed it? He's being charged with murder. Did you see that?
Yep.
The one. Now, how does that work? Look, there I go again. We got 2 minutes. How does that work as far as he videoed it?
I would have to see exactly what the charge they charged him with. Especially being a different state, because different states have different laws. But that's just him filming it alone and not calling the police to try to stop anything makes him a part of it.
There you go.
Makes him a part of it. So when people are filming stuff, when they're filming assaults, the fights and stuff, or they're filming when people are shooting and stuff, you're a part of it. You become a part of it. And people don't realize that. It's not a TV show. It's not a movie where you're the cameraman filming something that's not true. If you're filming an actual event, a murder, a shooting, an assault, you become a part of that incident.
And that's when they retrieve your phone and use that as evidence.
And that's what they decided to do with him.
Because he didn't call the police.
Now, they might have, you don't know what type of evidence they have, too. He might have been friends with them and might have been a part of it from the beginning.
That's what they said. That's what was said. That was what was said. I read it in the article. That's what was said, that he was a part of it. So I'm like, what they do? Call him like, hey, I want you to video this. But they are indeed charging him.
He may get more time than they do. Usually the people who do the actual crime make the deal, and everybody else is stuck. He may end up with more time than they do. You never know.
Wow. All right. Look. All right. I'm done this time. I promise you that. Again, important. Find you. Embrace you. Most importantly, always love you. Until next week, people, you know what it is. Shop Talk right here on Spreaker.com.